Hi everyone, welcome back to Desert Forge and welcome to my new shop here in Arizona. It's been about 9 months since I made the video, so let's catch up and talk about what happened to me. But before that, I'd like to give a shout out to Mark Farney from Perth, Western Australia. He's a fellow Edgar brand fanboy and he made a globe paperweight with an Australian twist, and he sent me some pictures that I'd like to share with you. Thank you, Mark. So the reason I haven't posted any videos in the last 9 months is that I kind of went through a turbulent time, and I left my old place in Nevada and moved to a new place in southern Arizona. I purchased a 20-acre land, an old mining claim, about a year and a half ago, and when I lost a bunch of work in my business in Nevada, and I was kind of forced to move early, so we moved here out in the middle of the desert and set up shop here. So this is my new workshop. I left my 2,000 square foot shop to a 20-acre shop, so I think it's a win, and hopefully we can build everything we want here and have a nice setup here, and I can share everything with you guys as well. So this video is the Q&A video and the giveaway video. So I'm going to start with questions and then announce the giveaway winners at the end. I know it was the 1,000 subscriber giveaway, but I'm about 30 subscribers away from 2,000, so I guess this is going to be the 1 and 2,000 subscriber giveaway. Before I jump to the real questions, there were people asking me how can they support my channel, and I finally put the work into it and set up 3 ways that you can financially support me and grow the channel. I started a Patreon channel that right now has 3 tiers: $2, $4, and $6 tiers. Each tier comes with a ticket to a biannual raffle that I will give away items, and also you will be able to see extra material on that Patreon, extra videos and other content. I also launched a web store that is shopdesertalforge.com. You'll be able to buy stuff that I made during the YouTube videos, also other small items, and I tend to grow this store and have more items available. Also, my wife's jewelry is on it too. And the third one is thanks to Vaughn at Three Rivers Forge. He suggested to start a t-shirt store, and that is available also at Store Frontier, and all the links to Patreon, the store, and the t-shirts are gonna be in the description. If you decide to support my channel, I appreciate it greatly. Thank you. Okay, the first question is from Sean. Sean asked the question: do you have a recommendation for steel type for the stock you listed in video 0? As of the moment, I only have a propane torch, so metal type that I can use that for heating would be optimal for me. Thanks again, and awesome videos always. Thank you, Sean. I hope you're still watching this video or following me. So I recommend just plain old mild steel that you can buy at any steel supplier, if that was your question. As for like size and dimension, if you're a beginner and you only use a propane torch, as you mentioned, I would recommend something small, like a 1/2 inch round, 1/2 inch square stock max, and start with that. That's easy to heat up, but you can heat up bigger stuff. I heated up 1 inch by 1 inch or even 2 inch by 2 inch square stock, solid square stock, with just a propane oxygen torch, and you can heat it up to forging temperature with that too. So the next few questions are from Josh Major. I hope you're still here with us, and here are the questions. What got you into blacksmithing? Well, I started as most blacksmiths nowadays. I was very interested in medieval and Viking stuff, and I wanted to make my own sword and armor and mostly that kind of stuff. But I was 16 years old at the time, back in the mid-90s, and you couldn't even buy swords or anything like that online or in stores for an affordable price at least. So I thought I'm gonna learn the trade and make my own stuff. I was at the high school at the time and could not, I wanted to change to a trade school, but it was impossible. Mostly there were only jewelry and silversmithing schools, and I had to graduate from high school and then enrolled into a special craft and trade school. There I learned blacksmithing, and gradually I fell in love with the architectural part mostly. All right, next one. What's your specialty? Scroll work, decorative, antique, knives, swords, or anything and everything? I like mostly, my specialty is mostly architectural work. That's what I have the most experience with. Also home decor and small items and furniture. I did some blades and a few other melee weapons, but I'm not really experienced with that. I did tools, of course, for my shop, and I'm not in, I don't have much experience with like armor and sheet metal work. Other than like decorative stuff, like I did flowers and like boxes and stuff, but that's mostly related to either home decor or architectural stuff. Next one, still from Josh. Where are you located? State, country, whichever you're comfortable saying. Oh, I don't mind. I'm comfortable with everything. Well, I'll start with that. I'm originally from Hungary. I was born and raised there. Then I lived in the UK for a few years. Then I moved to the United States. First I came to the East Coast, to New Jersey, and then I moved to a town called Prom, Nevada, just 50 miles outside of Las Vegas. And I lived there between 2012 and 2019. We moved here to southern Arizona just 6 months ago. And right now we are just outside of Tombstone, the historic town of Tombstone, in the old mining district. And the last one from this segment from Josh, he sent me more. It's gonna be, I'm gonna answer those later. What made you want to start a YouTube channel, especially now at the time where people are getting strikes for nonsense like copyright infringement, and in reality the smith keeps beats so well with a hammer he tricked an algorithm into thinking it's music. So the reason I started the YouTube channel is I really feel like there is not, at least on online, is not enough focus on other than knives. So it's mostly knives and bladesmithing, which draws a lot of attention to the trade, but I think that is just a small segment. And don't get me wrong, I respect those smiths, and I think that many of them are really talented, but for me as a blacksmith, knife making is 10% forging and 90% sanding, grinding, heat treating. But I like the other way around. I like 90% forging and 10% finishing and whatnot. So I think the YouTube community of blacksmith lacking the architectural and the more creative part, more artistic part. So since I have 22 years of experience, I feel like I can contribute to this community and share my knowledge with people, which seems that people are interested in. So thank you for your interest and hope you follow me through with this. Next one is from Randall Summers. For Q&A, is a railroad spike good enough carbon steel to make punches and drifts out of? Thanks. I don't have really much experience with railroad spikes, but I assume that's good enough. I imagine you can make a decent punches and drifts out of it. you can make everything out of mild steel. It would work, it won't last, but you can make a few holes, punch a few holes and rip a few holes with just mild steel tools. So I assume the railroad spike should have some sort of carbon in it, so it will be, maybe it won't be the longest lasting and the best tool, but it will do. So the next question is from Truegrit Scott. Your vids are very well done and instructive. One of the things I find hardest is fixing mistakes. Seeing how our other folks both fix and avoid problems is very helpful. So show your mistakes and talk us through how to fix them and when one should scrap and restart. Maybe that's not the best questions for Q&A, but some things to think about. Again, thanks and well done. Yes, this is not the best question for Q&A, but he raises a good point. And the way I look at this, I'm a perfectionist, so I try not to fix mistakes in a sense that, say you're making a picket with the spear end, right? For me, an acceptable mistake is not a mistake. It's either I'm talking from the artistic standpoint. If it fits into your tolerances of shape and size, that's not a mistake. It's normally just the variation in a handcrafted item. If I'm totally not happy with it because it looks bad or the size is not correct, I just redo it. I try to avoid fixing things in the forging sense. It's kind of hard to fix forged stuff because the more you try to forge something, the worse it gets. My philosophy is forge with the least amount of hammer strikes as possible and be meticulous and to the point with your methods. I hope that answers the question. Next one is from Why Not Forge. How about the different levels in a fire, coal, coke, and when to use them? I have heard there are 3. Good question. So I made this little diagram for you guys. Probably you've seen similar online. This is a cross section of a forge, and there are 3. I don't call them really levels, but 3 parts of the forge, because they're not levels as many of the diagrams show. So you have the oxidizing zones, which is the hottest part of the forge, where the fire burns hotter and the most oxygen is present. It's called oxidizing fire because there is an excess of oxygen, therefore it will corrode your metal more, and more oxidization, forming of scale will happen. The next zone is the neutral zone, which is outside of the oxidizing zone. The characteristics of this fire, this part of the fire, is there is enough oxygen to fully burn the fuel. There is no excess oxygen, therefore the oxidization is minimum in this area. And then you have the top outside part, where is it's called the reducing or carbonizing zone, which is there's less oxygen than fuel, therefore it's carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide is present in this zone. How we use these zones? We don't really use these zones, we more like avoid the oxidizing zone, and when you heat the metal you have to understand what is the best method of heating. What I mean is not only heat matters, but time matters as well. So you can have a super hot flame, a fire, you put your metal in, you're gonna oxidize a lot, and actually you believe that because it's hotter will heat faster, but that's not true. What you want to use is the neutral zone. And for example, if you have a larger section, you got to keep that in the neutral zone longer, so it takes time and leaves enough time for the heat to penetrate the metal all the way through. Also, this is important when you do forge welding, which I'm not really an expert at, and I did a little bit, but I'm not really interested in it, so for those guys who do Damascus steel and want to do forge welding, you want to learn how to use the reducing and the neutral zone to your benefits with welding. I even read that probably you guys know it better, the fluxless welding you can do in the reducing or carburizing zone. So this is also true for any gas flame. If you guys do gas welding, acetylene or propane, the same thing. So there you have the oxidizing flame, the neutral flame, and the carbonizing flame, which is exactly the same as this. So next one is from Vaughn Terpack from Three Rivers Forge. I'm sporting your t-shirt today just to give you a support, because you are hard hit by the shutdown, so give you some love. You guys go and check him out on Facebook, and I think I don't know if he has a website, but go find Three Rivers Forge on Facebook. So Vaughn asks, what's my training background, or what's your training background? As I mentioned briefly earlier, I went to a arts and crafts school in Hungary after graduating from high school. That was a 2-year graduate school, and then I did 4 years of apprenticeship, kind of in a journeyman style. I was 2 years at my former master's shop, and then I went to work with another guy, and then I started my own business for a few years, and then I went to the UK where I spent 4 years in various shops, but mostly at the shop of Colin Phillips in Southampton, UK. So still from Vaughn, how does the European smithing community differ from here in the States? Well, I don't know anymore, because I haven't lived in Europe for 12 years now. So back then there was no YouTube, and there was no big TV shows like The Forged in Fire and all those kind of things. So I was the member of the Hungarian Blacksmiths Guild, and that was about 100 members, and we had gatherings every year, and all the learning was mostly through master and apprentice kind of old guild style. And back then the bladesmithing was not really a thing. People were doing knives. I have a fellow blacksmith who was specializing in knives, but that was a minority, especially in Europe. I don't know now, because I haven't been there and don't really keep up with them anymore. But that was mostly artistic work and architectural work. So that's all I can say about that. Kind of a related question. Have you found that there's a greater awareness of blacksmithing and ironwork in the US, or is the traditional role of the smith still thought well in Europe? I think the traditional blacksmithing, forging, is more prevalent in Europe. There are still more people, especially in Germany and the UK, who do the journeyman type of things. Also in France, and they mostly focused on architectural stuff. But that's more understandable, since the architecture in Europe is different and more metalwork is involved. I did a bunch of restoration. I was involved with restoration projects there in the UK and some in Hungary. So yes, it's more traditional in Europe, and more, I think in the US it's mostly based on these TV shows and YouTube channels. But also there's quite of a few good blacksmith here in the US who does the architecture and artistic stuff, but I think it still has deeper roots in Europe. The next one is still from Vaughn. What brand propane forge do you use? It's right behind me, and I'm gonna show it around. I'm gonna splice in a picture. Actually, I built that forge. I worked at the company actually in New Jersey, who I think they built their own, so I kind of stole their idea and tweaked it a little bit. And it's basically a box, and I built the burners just out of a tube, and it's a homemade nice little forge. Again, are you planning on larger projects for the channel in the near future? Yes. That's just a simple question. As a YouTube blacksmith, do you realize that you have to do a video on making bottle openers, right? Yes, it's kind of like a mandatory thing, but I'm not a big fan of bottle openers. That's just my personal reference, but I'm planning to do a corkscrew and a pizza cutter in the future, so stay tuned for that. And the last from Vaughn: can you show us how to do mortise and tenon joinery or piercing a bar to get a tight fit with crossing bar? Yes, I will definitely look into that. I don't promise when, because life is life, so I don't know when, how soon, but I'm definitely going to look into that. Thank you for your questions. And a few more from Josh Major. He actually sent two comments. He asked me where you're from, where can we buy your work, I guess. As I said, I'm from Hungary. I was born there in the southeast, and lived there until I was 26 years old. And then I left for the UK, and then moved to the United States in 2008. Where can you buy my work? I just announced the launch of my web store, shopdesertoutforge.com, so you can buy it there, or you can contact me. There's a contact info on my website, and you can call me up and we can talk that stuff. What kind of forge are you running? Gas? Yes, I just talked about it briefly. And is material easy to find where you are? Is it new or scavenged? I always buy brand new material for like building the projects. I scavenge sometimes for like axles to make punches, or tools out of, or leaf springs to make small items. I do fire strikers. Sometimes I supplied a Mountain Man store with some fire strikers and other small items, so that I just used old leaf springs. But I believe, like, I'm a business, so I build larger items and also fabricate metal, so I have an account with a steel supplier and I buy my stuff right there. Okay guys, that was it for the questions. Thank you very much for everybody who submitted one or two. And if you're interested and like to know more about me or have questions for me, just submit them and I'll do another Q&A. Maybe we could make it a regular thing if I have enough questions. So thank you very much. All right, so this is the time everybody was waiting for. This is the time for the giveaway. So I'm giving away this nail that I forged in the nail forging video back then. That is my most popular video, pushing 27,000 views. I'm also giving away this forged Gingko leaf that I have a video on. This was my first video, I believe. And also I'm giving away one of these letter openers. That's also my second video ever I made on these ones. And I'm giving away 3 of these mugs. It's 11-ounce coffee mugs with the sparking Anvil logo on it. And because there were 6 people who submitted questions to the Q&A, I'm gonna give everybody something. So I put all 6 names in here, and I'm gonna pull out one for the nail first, and that's gonna be Truegrit Scott. You got the nail. Next one for the letter opener. Oh. This goes to Vaughn Terpack. Vaughn, you got the letter opener. You can go on my website, pick a design. There are 5 different designs, whichever you like, and send me a comment and I'll send you your choice. The next one is for the forged Gingko leaf. This goes to Why Not Forge. Okay, and the 3 other guys is Randall, Summers, Sean, and Josh Major. You will get an 11-ounce mug each. Okay, thank you very much for your questions and your support. To claim your prize, please contact me and send me your the address so I can ship it to you. You can just make a comment and I'll get back to you, or send me an email to messagedesertalforge@hotmail.com. I'll put the email into the description. All right, guys, this is it for today. I hope everybody got their questions answered, and again, thank you very much. If you like to support my channel, please subscribe, like, share, and comment. If you like to support me and my channel, you can go to my website, you can go to my web store, you can go to Patreon, and the t-shirt, the storefront here. I appreciate everybody's support, and hopefully we get a nice comeback. I'm working on a video tomorrow that's gonna be up with at the same time as this one. It's gonna be about scrolls, and I have quite a few good videos planned out. Hopefully now I can focus on this and get something going and not just upload every 9 months. So thank you very much. Just have a fantastic day, and see you in the next one. Bye.